What's up, guys? Back today with another video. Today we're going to be talking about something that's still one of the biggest mysteries in all of One Piece, Dr. Vegapunk. We've seen his work throughout all of One Piece ever since way back in Alabasta, but we're going to be talking about the Seraphims and the thing that he was originally arrested for, the lineage factor and his cloning. Growing up on Karakuri Island, somewhere in paradise, the future country Baltimore. The country specializes in advanced technology, such as cyborgs and mechanical structures, and it's hailed as the future country. And it's the birthplace of the genius we're talking about today, Dr. Vegapunk. And it's also the same island that Kuma sent Frankie to during the time skip, where Frankie studied Vegapunk's technology. Like I said before, we've seen Vegapunk's work all the way back in Alabasta, when we seen the dog that was basically a cannon named Lasso that worked with Mr. Four. And then later in Innie's lobby when Spopovich had a sword that turned into an elephant. And later we seen that he created the pacifistas, combining Kuma with Kizaru's devil fruit power. But today I want to talk about the Seraphims, the cloning process, and the lineage factor, and how those tie in, and what I believe we will see in the near future with the Seraphims. First we have to ask, what is the lineage factor? The lineage factor is the blueprint of life itself. That sounds like what we call to be DNA. All living things have a lineage factor. The lineage factor was discovered by a research team led by Dr. Vegapunk himself and Van Smoke Judge, which is Sanji's father. We've seen the fruits of their research into the lineage factor, with Judge's case being his children. While his wife was pregnant, Judge forced her to undergo the surgery which manipulated the lineage factor of the 4 fetuses she was carrying. This is where we got Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji, which through the modification developed exoskeletons, gaining increased healing ability, and with training rapidly increased in strength and resilience. And getting to Vegapunk, he created an artificial devil fruit, which he took from the lineage factor, or DNA, of Kaido, which he created a devil fruit similar to his. But for some unknown reason, he considers that devil fruit to be a failure. But when we saw Momonosuke eat the fruit, he developed the same abilities that Kaido had, such as turning into a dragon, using the clouds to fly, and eventually even using the same attacks, such as blast breath. But if you combine this with his other field of study, the cloning, I believe this is where we get the Seraphims. There's no proof yet, but I believe this is how the Seraphims were created. The world government once had king, and the warlords used to be under the protection of the world government. It's extremely possible that the world government got the DNA of the warlords while they were still under the protection of the world government. And for the new Seraphims, they looked like a combination of King, which is a Lunarian, Boa Hancock, and Mihawk, which were warlords up until very recently. And when Dr. Vegapunk had completed these Seraphims, that's when they were comfortable with getting rid of the warlord system. So to me, it only makes sense that this is how these Seraphims were created. And I truly believe we will see even more Seraphims that look very similar to the past warlords, such as Jinbei, Gecko Moria, Crocodile, Doflamingo, Weevil. We may even see one that looks like Kaido, considering he took the lineage factor of Kaido and made a devil fruit. So that tells us he has the lineage factor of Kaido. So it's very, very possible for us to see a Seraphim of Kaido in the future. Here's one that's kind of wild and out there, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities. Gol D Roger. And I say that because he turned himself into the world government. We don't know if Vegapunk was part of the world government or not yet. Can you imagine Luffy having to face off against Gol D Roger, but as a Seraphim? That would be a battle beyond words. And knowing that Dr. Vegapunk created a devil fruit exactly like Kaido's, how do we know that these Seraphims don't have the devil fruit abilities that the warlords themselves have? Because we've seen Mihawks, and he cut a chunk of Amazon Lily off. The real Mihawk could do that. Now imagine that power upgraded with the DNA of a Lunarian. And I'm going to go back to Kaido with this. Imagine having a dragon Seraphim, a Kaido Seraphim, Thunder Bagwai, Blast Breath, all the attacks that we've seen him do, his durability, his strength, mixed with the extra durability and strength and speed of a Lunarian. I'm just going to take the win right here because I've been saying it for a while now. People were like, oh, the world government, they're nothing. They're not even a comparison to what the pirates are and the emperors. I've been saying the opposite because I believed that there was no way that they would get rid of the warlord system knowing they had people like Boa Hancock and Mihawk just because they done a few bad things to a few countries. Even though they overthrew those countries, but still, a few countries would not matter to a world government that has control of the entire world. 2 islands would mean nothing to an entire world. Of course, we expected more out of Green Bull. That was one thing I was hoping to prove my theory that the world government was more ready. But then Shanks showed up and done his hockey-talkie and scared him off. But then, in this last chapter, we seen a Seraphim of Mihawk face off against Blackbeard himself, a Yonko, an Emperor of the Sea. And it looked like it was giving Blackbeard a hard time. We didn't get to see a whole lot, so it's hard to tell exactly who would win in that fight. But you can definitely say that the Seraphim was holding its own, or at least seemed to have been holding its own. Knowing Oda, there's honestly no telling what we're going to see from here on out. This is the final saga, and so far he's not pulling any punches. The last 2 chapters have been absolutely amazing. 10 out of 10. I know this video was shorter than my others I've made so far, but this is as much information as I could find, and it was my theory that I've come up with for what I think we're about to see in the near future of One Piece. And I honestly am more excited for One Piece now than I think I've ever been, just because so much has happened in these last 2 chapters and what we've seen so far. Because we all know that One Piece is a story that builds upon itself. And I cannot wait to see what Oda builds on top of the blocks that he's placed, especially in Wano, because we didn't get much on Kaido's backstory, but I know we're going to get the rest of it as soon as we get the rocks part. And that will be extremely hype. But that's going to be all for today's video. If you like this video, like and subscribe. I'll be putting out more soon. Talk to you guys later. Peace.